I'm not going to support a fat, lazy woman like you. My husband's voice exploded across the dinner table like a bomb. He had no idea that in my pocket was a phone call that would change everything. A call that told me I now own the entire company where he worked. The company that paid his salary. The company that made him feel like a big shot. But he didn't know that yet. And watching him yell at me, I decided right then that he would find out in the worst way possible. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this story, please hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe so you never miss what happens next. My name is Sophie Turner. I'm 38 years old, and I feel like I'm 100. I sat at our dinner table, staring down at my plate. Mashed potatoes. Again.
Cold. Lumpy. Gray.
Just like my life had become. Across from me sat Michael Reed, my husband of 12 years. He was pouring himself red wine, the bottle clinking against his glass like tiny bells of anger. Michael used to be kind. Or maybe I just wanted to believe he was kind. Now, looking at him, I couldn't remember the last time he smiled at me. Really smiled. Not that fake smile he used when his boss came over for dinner. In the corner of our dining room sat my mother, Rosa. She was 66 years old and stuck in a wheelchair. Her legs stopped working 3 years ago after a stroke. Since then, she lived with us. Michael hated that. He reminded me every single day. And then there was Daniel, my sweet, beautiful boy. Daniel was 11 years old. He sat in his special chair, playing quietly with his favorite toy, a soft, squishy ball that lit up when you squeezed it. Daniel was born with cerebral palsy. He couldn't walk like other kids. He couldn't talk much either. But his eyes, his eyes said everything. He understood every word, every shout, every cruel comment. And tonight, Michael was at his worst. The same thing every day. Michael threw his napkin onto his plate like it was trash. Bland food. A messy house. And you sitting there looking like a victim. I felt my throat tighten. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the plate at his head. But I didn't. I never did. I glanced at Daniel. His little hands had stopped squeezing the ball. He was watching me with those big, worried eyes. I'm tired, Sophie. Michael stood up, slamming his hands on the table. The plates jumped. Daniel dropped his toy. Tired of supporting a woman who can't even cook a decent meal. Tired of coming home to this. He waved his hand around like our home was a prison. And I'm tired of your mother sitting in that corner, like some kind of charity case. Stop it, Michael, I shouted. My voice came out louder than I expected. Even I was surprised. Michael's eyes went wide for a second. Then he laughed. A mean, ugly laugh. Well, look who finally woke up. The sleeping princess has a voice. Rosa lifted her shaking hand. Please, not in front of Daniel. Michael turned to her, his face twisted with anger. Why not, Rosa? Should I keep pretending? Pretending I'm the hero? Pretending this is a normal family? He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a hiss. You know what they say about me at work? They call me the guy with the broken family. They laugh at me behind my back. Something inside me snapped. I stood up. The chair scraped loudly against the floor. If we embarrass you so much, I said slowly, then leave. Nobody's forcing you to stay. Michael's face turned red. Oh, really? And who's going to pay for this house? You? With what money? You don't even have a job. He pointed at Rosa. She's got nothing. He pointed at Daniel. He's never going to work. Then he pointed at me. And you're just a burden. The words hit me like stones. Heavy. Sharp. Each one leaving a bruise I couldn't see. Daniel started to cry. Not loud. Just quiet tears rolling down his soft cheeks. I wanted to run to him. Hold him. Tell him everything would be okay. But then my phone buzzed on the table. I grabbed it, desperate for any reason to look away from Michael's hateful face. Unknown number. I answered. Hello. Is this Sophie Turner? A man's voice.
Calm.
Professional. Yes, this is Sophie. My name is Robert Chun. I'm calling from Chun and Associates law firm. We need you to come to our office tomorrow morning. It's about the will of Mr. James Bennett. I frowned. I think you have the wrong person. I don't know anyone named James Bennett. Mrs. Turner, the lawyer said carefully, Mr. Bennett legally recognized you as his daughter before he passed away last week. You've been named the sole heir to his entire estate. The room started spinning. Michael was still yelling somewhere behind me, but I couldn't hear the words anymore. Just noise, like static on a broken radio. My mother was staring at me. Her eyes were filling with tears. She knew. I have to go. I whispered into the phone and hung up. What was that? Michael sneered. Someone offering you a job cleaning toilets? I looked at him. Really looked at him. For 12 years, I had loved this man. Cooked for him. Cleaned for him. Raised his stepson. Taken care of my mother. Sacrificed my dreams, my degree, my life. And this was how he saw me. As nothing. Who called? Rosa asked quietly. A lawyer, I said. They said I inherited something. Something big. Michael laughed. From who? James Bennett. The laughter died in his throat. Wait, the James Bennett? The billionaire who died last week? The owner of Bennett Industries? I nodded. Michael's face went pale. What does he have to do with you? That's what I want to know. I turned to my mother. Mom, do you know something? Rosa looked down at her hands. They were shaking. Not now, Sophie. Yes, now. Michael slammed his fist on the table. Will someone tell me what's going on? Daniel started coughing, choking on his own tears. I rushed to him, pulling him into my arms. Sure, baby. Mama's here. Mama's got you. Michael picked up his plate and smashed it on the floor. The sound was like an explosion. Pieces of ceramic scattered everywhere. I'm done, he screamed. Done with this mess. Done with this house. Done with you. He pointed his finger right at my face. I am not going to support a fat, lazy woman like you. The room went silent. Even the clock stopped ticking. I looked at Michael, at his red face, his pointing finger, his cruel eyes. And I smiled. A small, tiny smile that nobody understood. You're right, I said softly. You won't have to support me anymore. Michael blinked. What? I'm leaving tomorrow. You can keep your food, your anger, and your empty house. Where do you think you're going? I looked at Daniel, then at my mother. Somewhere I can breathe. And without another word, I picked Daniel up and carried him upstairs. Behind me, I heard the crash of Michael kicking the broken plate pieces. But I didn't look back.
Not this time.
Upstairs, I laid Daniel gently on his bed. His eyes were red from crying. Mama, he whispered. One of the few words he could say. We're going on an adventure, baby, I told him. Just you, me, and Grandma Rosa. He smiled. A real, sleepy smile. While he drifted off to sleep, I pulled out an old suitcase from the closet. Inside was my college degree. Business Administration. I graduated top of my class 12 years ago. Before Daniel was born. Before I became just a mom. Before Michael made me feel small. I packed Daniel's clothes. His medicines. His favorite toys. Then I found an old photo buried at the bottom of the closet. It was me and a boy named Tommy. We were 7 years old playing in a park. I had completely forgotten about that photo. But seeing it made me remember something. I wasn't always this Sophie. I used to be strong. And tomorrow, I would be strong again. Downstairs, Michael was already asleep on the couch, an empty wine bottle beside him. He had no idea. No idea that the woman he just destroyed owned everything he thought he had. And tomorrow, his whole world was about to crumble. I didn't sleep that night. Not even for 1 minute. While Michael snored on the couch downstairs, I moved like a shadow through the house. Quiet. Careful. Packing everything we would need. Daniel's medical papers. His prescription bottles. The special formula he needed. His soft blankets that smelled like home. I packed my own things too. Not much. Some clothes. My old notebooks from college. That business degree I thought I'd never use again. And deep in my drawer, I found something I hadn't looked at in years. My old planner. The one where I used to write my dreams. Back when I was 25, before Daniel was born, I had so many plans. I wanted to open my own business, maybe a bakery, or a consulting firm. I wanted to help people, build something with my own hands. But then life happened. Daniel came early. The doctors said he needed special care. Lots of care. Michael said he would help, but he didn't. He worked late. He traveled. He left me to figure everything out alone. And slowly, one dream at a time, I put them all away, until they were just old words in an old notebook. But tonight, holding that planner in my hands, something stirred inside me. Maybe those dreams weren't dead. Maybe they were just sleeping. At 5 in the morning, when the sky was still dark and the streets were empty, I carried 2 suitcases down the stairs. Daniel was asleep in my arms, his head resting on my shoulder. Rosa was waiting by the front door. She had her coat on, a blanket over her legs. Her eyes were wet with tears, but she was smiling. "Are you ready?" I whispered. She nodded. "I've been ready for years, baby girl." I called a cab using my phone. 3 minutes later, headlights appeared at the end of our street. We didn't look back. Not at the house. Not at the broken plates still scattered on the dining room floor. Not at Michael, who was sleeping like he had won some kind of war. He had no idea he had just lost everything. The cab driver helped me load Rosa's wheelchair into the trunk. He didn't ask questions. He just drove. I gave him the address of a small apartment complex on the edge of the city. A place I found online at 3 in the morning. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't big. But it was OURS. When we arrived, the sun was just starting to rise. Pink and orange lights spilled across the sky like paint. The apartment was on the 2nd floor. 3 small rooms. A bathroom with no hot water. Damp spots on the walls. But there was a window. A big, beautiful window that looked out over the city. No power lines blocking the view. No Michael's voice filling the air with poison. Just sky. "It's perfect," Rosa whispered. Daniel woke up and looked around with sleepy eyes. "Mama? We're home, baby," I told him. "Our new home." He smiled. And for the first time in years, I felt something I thought I'd lost forever.
Hope.
We spent the morning unpacking. Rosa sat by the window, watching the world go by. Daniel played on the floor with his toys, giggling every time the ball lit up. But I couldn't relax, because I knew I had to ask the question that had been burning in my chest since last night. "Mom," I said quietly, sitting down next to Rosa. "Tell me the truth. Who was James Bennett? And why did he leave me everything?" Rosa's hands started shaking. She looked down at her lap. "I was hoping I'd never have to tell you this," she whispered. "Tell me what?" She took a deep breath. "James Bennett was your father." The words hit me like a truck.
What? No.
"My father died when I was a baby. You told me he died in a car accident." Rosa shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "I lied, Sophie.
I'm so sorry.
I lied to protect you." "Protect me from what?" "From the truth." She wiped her eyes. "James Bennett was a rich man. Very rich. We met when I was 19. I worked as a waitress at a fancy hotel. He came in every week for business meetings." She smiled, but it was a sad smile. "He was handsome.
Kind.
He treated me like I mattered. And I fell in love." "So what happened?" "I got pregnant. With you." Rosa's voice cracked. When I told him, he panicked. He said his family would never accept me. I was poor. I had no education. His parents wanted him to marry someone from their world. "So, he left you?"
Yes.
"He gave me money and told me to disappear. So I did." She looked at me with broken eyes. "I raised you alone, Sophie. I worked 3 jobs. I never asked him for help. I was too proud." I felt anger rising in my chest. And now he decides to recognize me? After I spent my whole life thinking I had no father. "He tried to find us," Rosa said. "Years later he tried. But I had changed my name, moved cities. I didn't want his money. I didn't want you to grow up thinking you were some rich man's mistake. I stood up, pacing the tiny living room. My hands were shaking. So, he died and left me everything out of guilt. Maybe, Rose admitted. Or maybe he really did love you. In his own way. I didn't know what to feel.
Angry?
Grateful?
Confused?
All of it at once. Before I could say anything else, my phone buzzed. It was a text from the lawyer. Robert Chen. Mrs. Turner, we need to meet today. 2 p.m. Please come to our office. This is urgent. The estate is worth more than you can imagine. I showed Rosa the message. You have to go, she said. What about you and Daniel? We'll be fine.
Go.
Find out what he left you. And then, she reached out and squeezed my hand. Then you take it. You take everything he owed you. Everything life owes you. At exactly 2 o'clock, I walked into the law office of Chen and Associates. The building was huge. Glass walls. Marble floors. People in expensive suits walking around like they owned the world. I felt small in my old jeans and worn-out coat. But I walked in anyway. A receptionist led me to a conference room on the 15th floor. Inside, a man in his 50s sat at a large table covered in papers. Mrs. Turner. He stood and shook my hand. I'm Robert Chen. Thank you for coming. I'm here, I said. Now tell me what's going on. He gestured for me to sit. Then he slid a folder across the table. James Bennett passed away 1 week ago. Before his death, he made arrangements to legally recognize you as his daughter. DNA tests were conducted years ago without your knowledge, samples from medical records. Everything is verified. I stared at the folder. What does that mean? It means, Robert said slowly, that you are the sole heir to the Bennett fortune. How much are we talking about? He didn't blink. $473 million. The room spun. I gripped the edge of the table. What? That includes cash, investments, properties, and… He paused. Bennett Industries. My heart stopped. The company?
Yes.
James Bennett owned Bennett Industries. It's one of the largest tech and manufacturing companies in the country. And as of this morning, he smiled. You own it. I couldn't breathe.
Wait.
Bennett Industries, that's the company that OWNS, the firm where Michael works. Robert nodded. Reed Consulting Group is a subsidiary of Bennett Industries. Which means… I'm his boss, I whispered. Robert's smile grew wider. Yes, Mrs. Turner. You are. I sat back in my chair, my mind racing. Michael. The man who called me fat. Lazy. Worthless. The man who said he wouldn't support me. The man who thought he was better than me. Worked for me now. And he had no idea. What do I need to do? I asked. Sign these papers. We'll transfer everything into your name. You'll have full control of the estate, the company, and all assets. I picked up the pen. My hand was shaking. But not from fear. From power. I signed my name. Sophie Turner. The girl who was told she was nothing. The woman who was about to become everything. Robert stood and shook my hand again. Congratulations, Mrs. Turner. You're now one of the wealthiest women in the country. I walked out of that office with my head high. The sun was setting, painting the city gold. And somewhere across town, Michael was still at work. Still thinking he was in control. Still thinking he had won. But tomorrow, he was going to learn the truth. And it was going to destroy him. The next morning, I woke up feeling different. Not scared. Not small. Not invisible. I felt alive. I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. Same face. Same eyes. But something had changed inside. I wasn't Sophie the tired mother anymore. I wasn't Sophie the forgotten wife. I was Sophie Turner, owner of Bennett Industries. And today, Michael was going to find out. I dressed carefully. A simple black dress I found at the back of my closet. The one I wore to my college graduation 12 years ago. It still fit. I pulled my hair back, put on the smallest bit of makeup. Nothing fancy. But when I looked in the mirror again, I saw someone strong looking back at me. Rosa was feeding Daniel breakfast when I came out. You look beautiful, she said, her eyes shining with pride. I feel different, I admitted. That's because you're free, Rosa smiled. Now go show that man what he lost. I kissed Daniel on the forehead. Mama will be back soon, baby. He squeezed my hand. Mama, strong. Those two words nearly broke me. But in a good way. Yes, baby. Mama is strong. I arrived at Bennett Industries at exactly 9 o'clock. The building was massive. 50 floors of glass and steel reaching into the sky. The company logo, a silver B, gleamed in the sunlight. This was mine now. All of it. I walked through the main entrance. Security guards nodded at me. Robert Chen had already sent them my photo and instructions. Good morning, Mrs. Turner, one said. Mr. Chen is waiting for you on the top floor. I stepped into the elevator. My heart was pounding. The doors opened to reveal a stunning office. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Expensive furniture. A desk the size of my old kitchen. Robert Chen was there with 3 other people in suits. Mrs. Turner, he smiled. Welcome to your company. It still doesn't feel real, I whispered. It's very real. Let me introduce you to your executive team. One by one, they shook my hand. The CFO, the operations director, the head of human resources. We've prepared everything for you, Robert said. All the department heads are waiting in the conference room, including,
He paused.
Michael Reed, director of the consulting division. My stomach flipped. He's here?
Yes.
He has no idea who you are. We kept your identity completely private, as you requested. I took a deep breath. I'm ready. We walked down a long hallway to a massive conference room. Through the glass walls, I could see at least 20 people sitting around a huge table. And there, at the far end, sat Michael. He was laughing at something someone said. His expensive suit, his confident smile. He looked so sure of himself. He had no idea his world was about to explode. Robert opened the door. Ladies and gentlemen, he announced. Please welcome the new owner and CEO of Bennett Industries, Mrs. Sophie Turner. Every head turned, including Michael's. His smile froze on his face. His eyes went wide. His mouth dropped open. The room was silent. I walked slowly to the head of the table, my heels clicking on the marble floor. Each step felt like power flowing through my veins. I sat down in the big leather chair at the front. Michael was staring at me like he'd seen a ghost. Good morning, everyone, I said calmly. Thank you for being here. I know this is unexpected. One of the executives spoke up. Mrs. Turner, we're honored to have you. Mr. Bennett spoke very highly of you before he passed. Thank you, I nodded. I'm still learning about the company, but I want you all to know I'm here to make Bennett Industries even stronger. Everyone nodded, except Michael. He looked sick. Now, I continued, I've been reviewing all the departments, and I have some questions. I opened a folder Robert had given me. Inside were reports on every division, including Michael's. Mr. Reed, I said, looking directly at him. He flinched. Why, yes. Your division reported a 20% drop in productivity over the last 6 months. Can you explain why? His face turned red. There were some challenges. Challenges? I interrupted. Or were you too busy complaining about your home life to focus on your job? The room went silent. Someone coughed. Michael's hands were shaking. Mrs. Turner, I can explain. Can you? I leaned forward. Because according to these reports, you've been leaving work early, taking long lunches, missing important meetings. I had family issues. Family issues? I stood up.
Funny.
Because you told me you were tired of your family, that they were a burden, that you wanted nothing to do with them. The entire room was staring at Michael now. His face was purple. Sophie, he whispered. Please. It's MRS, Turner, I said coldly. Or better yet, call me boss. If you're loving this moment of justice, smash that like button. Share this story with anyone who needs to see that karma is real. And subscribe because you do not want to miss how this ends. Michael looked like he wanted to disappear. Mrs. Turner, he stammered. I didn't know. You didn't know what? That the fat, lazy woman you screamed at was actually your boss? That the woman you called a burden now controls your entire career? Tears were forming in his eyes. Actual tears. I'm sorry. You're sorry? I laughed. A cold, hard laugh. You're sorry now? When you called me worthless, where was your sorry then? When you smashed plates in front of my son, where was your sorry? The executives were looking at each other uncomfortably. Robert Chin stepped forward. Mrs. Turner, perhaps we should discuss this privately. And oh, I said firmly, everyone in this room needs to hear this. Because Michael Reed has been telling people at work that his family is dysfunctional, that his wife is useless, that he's some kind of hero for putting up with us. Michael's face crumbled. I never meant. You meant every word, I said. And now you're going to learn what happens when you treat people like trash. I turned to Robert. What's the policy on termination? Michael's eyes went huge.
No. Please.
Sophie, I'll change. I'll be better. Mrs. Turner, Robert said carefully, you have every right to terminate any employee. But perhaps. I held up my hand. The room waited. Michael was shaking. And I realized something. I could fire him. I could destroy his career.
Take his salary.
His reputation. Everything. But looking at him now, this scared, pathetic man who thought he was so powerful, I realized something better. Destroying him would be too easy. Mr. Reed, I said slowly. You're not fired. He gasped. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're demoted. The relief vanished from his face. Effective immediately, you're no longer director. You'll be moving to an entry-level position. 40% pay cut. No company car. No expense account. And you'll report directly to me. His mouth opened and closed like a fish. You wanted to see what it's like when someone stops supporting you? Now you'll find out. This isn't fair, he started. Fair. My voice rose. You want to talk about fair? Where was fair when you screamed at a woman taking care of a disabled child? Where was fair when you insulted my mother? Where was fair when you called me fat and lazy? He had no answer. You have two choices, I said. Take the demotion and maybe, earn your way back up. Or quit right now and try explaining to your next employer why you left Bennett Industries. Michael looked around the room. Everyone was staring at him. He had no power here. No control. No escape. I'll take the demotion, he whispered.
Good, I said.
You start tomorrow. 8 a.m. sharp. Don't be late. I closed the folder and stood up. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. The executives filed out quickly, whispering to each other. Michael stayed frozen in his chair. As I walked past him, he grabbed my arm. Sophie, please. I looked down at his hand, then at his face.
Let
go. He released me immediately. I'm sorry, he whispered again. I'm so sorry. I know you are, I said. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry you lost your power. But you're not sorry for what you did. I leaned closer. You taught me something, Michael. You taught me that I don't need you, that I'm stronger without you. And for that, I actually should thank you. I walked toward the door, then paused. Oh, and Michael? I'm filing for divorce. My lawyer will be in touch. You'll get nothing in the settlement. I suggest you start looking for a cheap apartment. I walked out, leaving him sitting there in the ruins of his own ego. That night, I returned to our little apartment. Daniel was playing with Rosa, both of them laughing at something on TV. When they saw me, Daniel's face lit up. Mama. I scooped him into my arms and spun him around. Guess what, baby? Mama had a very good day. Rosa smiled knowingly. Did you do it? I did it. And I won. I sat down next to her. But you know what? It wasn't about destroying him. It was about finding myself again. Rosa squeezed my hand. Your father would be proud. Maybe, I said. Or maybe, I'm just proud of me. That night, I tucked Daniel into bed. He looked up at me with his beautiful, trusting eyes. Mama happy? He asked. Yes, baby. Mama is very happy. Me too, he smiled. As I watched him drift off to sleep, I thought about everything that had happened. A week ago, I was trapped. Invisible.
Broken.
Today, I owned $1 billion company. I had my freedom, my dignity, my life back. Michael had tried to make me feel small. But he forgot something important. You can't break someone who's already been through fire. You can only make them stronger. And I was stronger than ever. 3 months later, Daniel started at a new school, one with incredible programs for kids with special needs. He was thriving. Rosa got the best medical care money could buy. Her smile came back. And me? I threw myself into running Bennett Industries. I learned everything. Asked questions. Made changes. Treated every employee with respect. The company started growing again. People said I was a natural. But I knew the truth. I wasn't a natural. I was just a woman who finally got the chance to show what she could do. One day, I was walking through the office when I saw Michael. He was carrying a stack of files, his head down, looking exhausted. He saw me and froze. "Mrs. Turner," he said quietly. "Mr. Reed." We stood there for a moment. "How's Daniel?" he asked. "He's wonderful."
Happy.
"Safe." Michael nodded. That's good. "Is there something you need?" "No, I just—"
He paused.
I wanted to say, "I really am sorry. For everything." I looked at him, really looked at him, and I realized I didn't feel angry anymore. I didn't feel anything at all. He was just a man who made bad choices. "I forgive you, Michael," I said. "Not for you, but for me. Because holding on to anger would only hurt me." His eyes filled with tears. "Thank you. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And it doesn't mean I'll ever let you back into our lives." "I understand." I walked past him, my heels clicking with confidence. Because that's what I had now. Confidence.
Power.
Freedom. And most importantly, I had myself back. The girl who used to dream. The woman who made those dreams come true. If this story inspired you, please hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to take back your power. And subscribe for more stories of strength, revenge, and redemption. Drop a comment below and tell me, what would you have done in Sophie's shoes? Let's talk. Remember, you are never too broken to rebuild. You are never too lost to find your way home. And you are never too small to become everything you were meant to be. Stay strong. Stay powerful. And never ever let anyone make you feel less than you are.